Ever stop to think about how we actually talk about tomorrow? Well, today we're going to master this super simple but really powerful tool that makes it a breeze. It's called the future simple tense. Let's dive right in.
Really think about it for a second. We do this all the time, right? We talk about the future every single day. Maybe you're predicting who's going to win the big game, or you're promising a friend you'll help them out, or you just decide on a plan out of the blue. So the big question is, how do we say all that stuff in a way that's simple and makes total sense?
Well, the answer is the future simple tense. And honestly, the best way to think about it is that the little word will is like a master key. It's the one thing that unlocks our power to talk about all kinds of future stuff, from things we're pretty sure about to decisions we make in a split second.
Okay, so to really nail this, first we got to understand when to actually use it. So let's break down the four main situations where will is going to be your best friend.
First off, we've got predictions. This is for any time you're just making a guess or sharing your opinion about what's going to happen. You're not like 100% sure, but you've got a gut feeling, That's when you use will. Second, we use will when we're making a commitment. This could be a really sincere promise you're making to someone or even just a simple offer to help out. When you say, I will, you're basically saying, hey, you can count on me to do this.
And this one's super important. Will is absolutely perfect for decisions you make on the spot. This is a huge difference from going to, which is for plans you made before. Will is for the now. The doorbell rings? I'll get it. The waiter comes over? I'll have the lemonade. You're deciding in that exact moment. That's a will moment, for sure.
And number 4. This is for what grammar folks call the first conditional. But don't worry about the name, it's just a simple if-then situation. You're saying if this thing happens, then this other thing will happen. It's all about a likely outcome that depends on something else.
All right, so we know when to use will. Now for the fun part, how do we actually build the sentences? And let me tell you, the best news is that the structure is so simple.
Here it is. This is the magic formula, and it works every single time, I promise. You just take your subject, I, you, the dog, my team, whatever. You add will, and then you drop in the verb. That's it. It never changes. How easy is that?
Okay, so what if you want to say no? How do you make it negative? It's just as easy. All you do is add one tiny word, not. You just slide it in right after will, and boom, you've completely flipped the meaning. That's literally the only change you have to make.
Now, you know how we talk in real life, right? We love our shortcuts, and that's where contractions come in. We almost never say, I will, we say I'll. We don't say he will, we say he'll. And for will not, the most common one by far is just won't. Using these just makes everything sound so much more natural and flowy.
Okay, we've got positive sentences, we've got negative sentences, so what's next? Asking questions, of course. So let's take a look at how we can ask about the future. And you guessed it, it's just as simple.
Seriously, all it takes is a little flip. So you start with a statement, something like, she will walk. Now just swap the first two words. Will jumps to the front, and just like that, you've got a perfect question. Will she walk?
And hey, notice something cool? When you answer these questions, you use the exact same pieces. The answer just kind of mirrors the question. Will he walk? Yes, he will. Will they walk? No, they won't. See that? It's a really clean, logical pattern.
But what if a simple yes or no isn't what you're looking for? What if you need more details? Easy. You just grab one of these classic question words, who, what, where, when, and stick it right on the front of the sentence. So, for example, instead of just, will she walk, you can ask, where will she walk? Or, when will she walk? And notice how that core part, will she walk, it stays exactly the same. You're just tacking on that one extra word at the beginning to get the info you need.
Whoa! Okay, we've covered a ton of ground pretty quickly here. So before we wrap this up, let's do a super quick recap of the most important rules, just to make sure they stick.
All right, here are the big takeaways. First, remember the 4 times to use will for predictions, promises, spontaneous decisions, and those if-then conditional sentences. And second, remember the structure. It's always subject plus will plus verb. For negatives, just add not. And for questions, just flip the subject and will. That's really the whole shebang.
So there you have it. You've got the tools now. You know the why and the how for talking about tomorrow. The only question left is, what new sentence will you create first?